Well, welcome everybody to the Resilient Living Podcast, where our goal is to help build resilient people who build resilient communities. I am Ryan Steva, and I'm here with my co host, Jared Wilson. Today, we're going to be talking about the principles of troubleshooting.
Yes, we are.
So, both Jared and I have surprisingly extensive backgrounds in troubleshooting and have essentially done it professionally on multiple different levels and both enjoyed a ton as well. So, hopefully, we can make that attainable and graspable to people watching and listening today.
Yeah, I mean, because there's no aspect of life that doesn't involve troubleshooting to some extent. And it doesn't have to be in some grand, venue like in a hospital system or, in healthcare. That's where my experience was really developed. But yeah, everybody really has the opportunity to utilize these skills.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think where my troubleshooting really first developed was in not having a lot of money as a kid. Growing up in a
Yeah,
family with a big family, and
sure.
I didn't think we were poor or anything. It wasn't even a thought that crossed my mind, but I didn't get all the things I wanted. We didn't go to the store and just buy what I wanted. So if I
Sure.
wanted a bicycle, I'd piece together a bicycle. And
Oh, yeah,
so
right.
yeah. So troubleshooting was one of those early things. And of course my dad taught it to me. And my mom always had some way of coming up with making something work that even if it wasn't a physical problem, maybe it was just a hurdle in how to do something that we wanted to that we couldn't otherwise.
Well,
So
and that's
yeah,
that's one of the I think the biggest benefits of learning um, troubleshooting is just that is it's not just about devices, it's not just about things, it's about life. It's a mindset of going into it eyes open. Okay, how can we evaluating what do we have to work with, and what can we make of it? How can we make this better? And so yeah, no, it's absolutely an essential part of life. And I saw with with my grandparents, they grew up during the Depression. They were very much of that mindset.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, my grandparents were always, how do you put it together with baling twine and duct tape, at least to an extent. And there's a balance there too. There's times when it makes sense to throw something away and start fresh. But it's such a valuable skill to have, and I'm so glad to have it. I'm so glad to have been put in positions where it was important and necessary for me to get the things I wanted, and they become so much more important or so much more valuable to you when you've actually put the time and thought into making something work that otherwise wouldn't have.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
So one of the things Jared and I were discussing before getting started was we really want to help people figure this out. So if you have questions, if you have input, if you have a story about how you figured something out that you otherwise wouldn't have, or you would have been stuck or in a bad position, throw those in the comments. We'll do our best to get to those and go
Yep.
through anything that you guys add in.
Absolutely.
So, Jared, do you want to kind of give us an introduction, maybe define troubleshooting, and then give us a little bit of an introduction on how you do it, how you get started?
Sure. So, like I kind of mentioned, so if you're watching and you aren't aware of my background, so I spent 18 years as a biomedical engineering technician. In that time, I would troubleshoot various systems from electrical to pneumatic, hydraulic, and every iteration and combination within that system, even steam and other. So my approach to troubleshooting really boiled down to two questions. Either something is doing something that it shouldn't do, or it's not doing something that it should do. And that's really kind of what that's really what I ended up as that is the crux of. Um, Now I know, Ryan, in your experience, you're coming from telecommunications. You definitely have a different approach to troubleshooting than I did.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, and so we talked about this a little before pre-show, and we're like, "Oh, how do we communicate this?" And I felt like I could boil mine down to basically three steps. But one of the primary things was essentially thinking about it like the scientific method. You collect data, you make observations, you then put that into some type of hypothesis, and then essentially you try to prove that hypothesis wrong. So
Which is a
you
really
want to,
important step. That's a really important
yeah,
step.
yep. Because you what I see so often in people who don't do this often, or it's not their, what they do for a living, or they're just not experienced in it, is they'll get really stuck on the solution that they came up with, and they won't be able to backtrack and go, "Yep, you know what? That wasn't the right thing. I didn't hypothesize properly. I've
We just make
disproven
bad
it wrong."
assumptions. We get the blinders on of like, this is the problem, this is the solution, and we don't want to look beyond the possibility that we were wrong in the first place.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, it's a little bit of an ego thing,
Yeah.
and everybody can get trapped in it, right? But when troubleshooting, it's really important to go, I'm actually trying to prove my hypothesis wrong. And
Yeah,
once I prove it wrong,
if I'm wrong in this, I should be able to test and evaluate this, and that that would prove me wrong. Oh, look, I
yep,
was wrong. Okay, well, let's step back a little bit further then.
yep. And I would say as a caveat with that, because that's like boiling it down to the simplest possible terms. Of course, there's so many it depends kind of things. But one of the things that I also say is, um, b- sorry, that that thought is totally gone. I don't know where it went.
That's all
Um,
good.
uh, yeah, sorry, man.
It's all
It
good.
just left me.
Well, what for the beginning of my career, I really kind of hearkened to the whole KISS methodology of keep it simple, stupid, and unbelievably, anesthesiologists are like some of the most arrogant people you'll ever encounter. And so like they would call me in middle of the night. They're in the middle of a procedure, their anesthesia just went down, they're freaking out. Fair enough. It's, anesthesia. It's important. My first question is, are you sure it's plugged in? And they're, oh, I'm an anesthesiologist. Going back to the pride thing. Um, I'm an anesthesiologist. I know how to. Okay, that's fine. I'll come in. I'll figure it out. I come in and like 9 times out of 10, it's unplugged. I'm like, dude,
Right.
you didn't even look. You didn't
Mhm.
try. And so
Yeah.
like, especially in this day and age with everything being computer based, my first step is still it's the quintessential. Did you try turning it off and on again?
Right.
It's
Did you
it's
unplug it and plug it back in?
Yeah. Well, and like, okay, you want to take it a step further. Unplug it, hit the power button because any capacitors
Mhm.
that are in there are going to discharge. It's going to fully shut this thing down. Okay, now plug it back in. Now let's boot it up fresh. Let's see if we have any error codes. Let's see if we have any, other symptoms that pop up. Now we can move forward with that. Does the original symptom reemerge, or does it clear?
Right.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's where, you know, you've got to start with defining the problem with taking even physical notes and making sure that you've got an idea of what the problem is. If you're like pressing the power button and it won't come on,
right,
yeah, check the power cord first, right? Check the
right,
most obvious things. And that was what I was trying to get back to, is check the obvious things first, or address the simple things first. So maybe your hypothesis, you've got one that's kind of like, here, it's going to be really tough to disprove or to figure out, but you've got another one that's similarly likely, and
yeah,
but it's really easy to prove or disprove, like the power cord. Check
right.
those things first. Even if they're less likely than the other possibilities, start there.
Yeah, Occam's razor is a thing. It legit is. The simplest
Yeah,
solution probably is it.
exactly. So I don't. Let's see. What would be kind of like your next step, or maybe your first step? Because I don't know if you even really gave me. That.
Not really. So yeah, okay. So let's say, it's doing something it shouldn't do, or it's not doing something it should do. Either way, where's your service documentation? And so
Mhm.
and I know this is nerdy. I love service documents. I had collected literally tens of thousands of these things over my career as a BMET. And so much so that when I started my own company, I already had the database. It was mine. I just had it. And so any device that I
Right.
encountered, I already had the service manual. So I already knew the codes. I already knew how to get into the service menus. I already knew all this stuff. So whenever you get a new device, keep that manual. Find a folder somewhere in your house that is just the repository of all service documentation, because you never know when you might need it. It could be
Yeah.
the service manual for your tractor. It could be the service manual for your toaster. It could be whatever. Just have a place that has all of them, because that's your first step. Is because in there's probably going to be a troubleshooting guide. Did this happen? Did this
Right.
happen? Did that not happen? Did that not happen? And it'll walk you right to it. 90% of the time, it's
Yeah.
already
As
got
long
it
as it's
figured out.
not as long as it's not like some cheap planned obsolescence device, right?
Well, there's always
Um,
that. Yes.
but the other thing about that, and this is just kind of an aside, but if you keep all the service manuals to the things that you have, I believe a lot of insurance companies will consider that documentation of you having that thing, um, or at least to some extent.
Interesting. All right.
So I've known people to keep those for insurance purposes. So maybe keep those things in a safe, dry, low likelihood of fire kind of place too.
Ooh, yes, this all day long and every day. Yes, that. Do it. Download the PDFs. If you have a device, generally you can Google the device name and then just PDF afterwards. And you would be amazed. There's some sketchy websites. Don't trust all websites.
Right.
Service manuals dot what don't yeah. Try to find the original manufacturer, and they'll have a service documents repository of their website usually, if it's a reputable company. Um, Going back to the
Yeah,
find
I try
obsolescence.
not to ever use a search engine to find the PDF because that's a really good way of getting a virus or
Right?
some malware or something.
Yes. Yeah. Don't go. Yeah.
I
Like I said, don't go clicking around.
Right. Yep. Yeah. If you go to the actual manufacturer's website and you go under their downloads or resources page and just kind of click through until you find it. The other note to that is a lot of things they'll stop, they'll basically make the link dead after a while or remove it once the item is obsolete. So it's good to get it before you need it.
Definitely. Yep. Absolutely. So, in your experience, when you've had a system that has failed, um, I would typically encounter secondary issues that would potentially cloud what I think is the problem. So
Mhm.
how did you approach driving back to the original issue that was the cause, as opposed to those secondary or tertiary symptoms?
Yeah. Well, one is just not being prideful, not getting stuck on my thoughts or what I
Yep.
initially think. Um, Another is the divide and conquer method. And
Yes.
I think you gave it a slightly different name.
Half split
Maybe,
tech.
no, you did divide and conquer.
Yeah,
What
in
did you say?
the notes. Yeah, half split. So if you
Half
imagine
split. There we go. Yep.
your system has your input, so that could be it's plugged into the wall, and then it has your output that could
Mhm.
be whatever, it's your stereo system or it's your TV or whatever. That's the output side. If you've already double checked that you have power, then we'll go right in the middle. Okay, if you have power here, then right here in the middle there should be power, and then that's where your signal to turn it on would come from. Okay, do we have
Right.
a signal there? If we have a signal there, then we go forward. If we don't have a signal or power there, we go backwards. And so we do the half split. We just cut it in half, and then we cut it in half and cut it in half, and we'll just dive down right to where the actual issue was.
Yeah. So one of the big things that I dealt with in, cable TV and internet and all that was that where I'd go out to the field I could see something in the head end, but I didn't know where it's coming from. So you go out in the field, you go as close to the middle of the system as you can. You look for it. Does it show
Yeah.
up there? Yes. Then it's further down. You keep going. You divide it in half again, and you can kind of keep doing that until you're down to just a couple of options. Sometimes that's slow, and you can make some guesses.
Yeah.
If somebody was doing road construction where our cable goes under the road, and I know it's coming from roughly that area, I'll go check over there first. But that again comes back to what's most likely and what's easiest to find or fix, instead
Sure.
of getting really stuck on that philosophy of divide and conquer. Mix a little bit of thinking in with that as
Yeah.
well, so you
There's
don't
definitely
spend your
some
entire time doing it.
intuition and some, yeah, absolutely.
Yep. And when you work on systems or you start, whether it's a homestead or whatever else, you'll start to see patterns.
Mhm.
And our brains are really great at recognizing patterns, which is extremely helpful and extremely difficult because, for the same reason we're talking about, because you can get stuck on the hypothesis you started with or that you
Yes.
came up with, um, because of that pattern recognition. But it can be really helpful in shortcutting some of that as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Shortcutting the finding.
Right. Yeah. It's really easy to get caught up in the, oh, this, so it must have been that mindset. Because
Mhm.
it's a bad assumption. So yeah, that's real important.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the other thing that I think can happen is as you're troubleshooting or dividing and conquering, sometimes you can see you'll end up there might be multiple confounding things. So an example of that is I was working on a spring system for somebody. So there's a gravity fed spring to their house that
Cool.
provided pressure to their home, which is really neat. But they ended up having basically no pressure. If anybody tried to take a bath or whatever, they used a little bit of water, they would have no pressure. And
So
so they
yeah.
called me out to try to find the issue. Um, and what I realized is the people who put it in never put a single valve, and it was probably a 2,000-foot line. And so there's no divide and conquer, right?
Oh wow.
So there's a couple things I could do. Like I could let it build, let it sit, and I could take water pressure at the
Yeah.
lowest point,
Yeah.
and then I could calculate the water pressure to where I think the leak was because, you can calculate height. And so then
Height. Yeah.
you know,
Exactly.
that's that was one way, and I did find a leak that way. But the thing was, there was multiple leaks in this system.
That
So
makes
once
it
I
harder.
fixed one leak, then I had to go and do the divide and conquer thing further up the line. And so I
Yep.
started putting valves in. And the way I do it is I figured out that if I put a valve in and I shut that valve off and I took a stethoscope and put it against the valve and slowly turn the valve on, if
Okay.
I could hear water running, then I knew there was a leak downhill from where I was. If water wasn't running through that valve, then I knew there was no leak downhill, and so
Yeah,
I
it was
needed to
up
divide and
further.
conquer up higher again. Yep.
Sure.
And so I
Well,
think I found 5 different leaks in their system
oh
that way.
man.
Because
Wow.
with that stethoscope, you could find a really small leak,
Sure.
and you could kind of narrow down whether it was a big leak, whether it was a small leak. Even to an extent, the sound would give you an idea of how far away it was. So, figuring out tools you can use,
I was
you
just
know,
gonna say, so
using.
Rocky Pines posted this comment that that's exactly it's the diagnostic
Yep.
tools. So like my very first car, 1965 Chevy Corvair Corsa Turbo. Loved that car. I could diagnose it with a screwdriver. I had this screwdriver, it was 2.5, 3 foot long screwdriver. And I always had it in my trunk, and everybody was always laugh like, "What are you going to use with that?" I could listen to the entire engine. I could take the end of it, I'd
Yeah.
stick it up against my ear with my thumb in between, and I could touch it
Mhm.
anywhere in that engine, and I could tell you exactly what was going on. So, like when I inherited my father-in-law's Dodge Intrepid. With it, I turned it on and I could hear a lifter tick. Within a
Mhm.
couple minutes, I'm like, "Oh, it's the exhaust on cylinder number 6." And so I took it to the mechanic. I'm like, "Hey, this is what's going on. He's like, well, we're going to need to, do our
Yeah.
own diagnosis. I'm like, you can do your own diagnosis. That's fine. I'm telling you what it is though. And he comes back. He's like,
Right.
you're absolutely right. I'm like, I know it. I listen to it. I hear it. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
having good diagnostic tools is so important, especially in electronics. And
Mhm.
and I don't want to be a gatekeeper, but you do get what you pay for a lot of the times. And when you're trying to do diagnostic
Yep.
work, um, you don't want to do diagnostic work based off of faulty information. So getting a good quality multimeter is really, really good. And honestly, a good fluke multimeter, yes, it is more expensive by far. I understand, but it's something that's going to last you a long time. And it's really probably worth the investment.
Yep. And when it comes to like homestead type stuff, if you're doing homestead type stuff, um, getting one that has a DC amp clamp. I know
Oh,
this is a
that is a
little bit in the weeds
good comms. Yes.
because AC, you can get an amp clamp that's relatively accurate for almost nothing. A DC amp clamp to measure amperage without having to run it through the device
Right.
is invaluable. Um, and you can use it on a car. You can use it to find phantom voltage. You can use it to determine if something's pulling more than it should.
Yeah.
It's actually really, really important.
Sure. That makes good sense. So yeah, you could use that for solar arrays or any kind of wind generation or whatever, anything that's running out in DC. Yeah, but you're right. DC stuff is much harder to diagnose when it comes to amperage. Yeah. Did I tell
Yeah,
you that
absolutely.
my wife's grandfather was the inventor of the DC amp meter?
You did. That's really cool.
Isn't that cool?
I kind
I
of had
actually got to
forgotten, but
see.
that's really
I got to
cool.
see the original unit. We're in his garage, and I see this gigantic old, like it looked like an old O scope. I'm like, dude, what is that? He's like, oh, that's my original DC amp meter. You know, I invented that, right? I'm like, I'm sorry, you what?
What? Yeah, crazy.
Like, I use those all
Yeah,
the
because
time. Thank you so much.
yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, it's crazy. I can't remember any stories off the top of my head, but well, okay. So I came across. I mean, it's not as big of a deal, but I ended up talking to the inventor of the Cyclops electric fence.
Very
This
cool.
so they make if you want a good electric fence for your homestead, Cyclops is it. It's like it's ridiculously simple. It's ridiculously robust. It does what it's supposed to. You can't break it. If you manage to break it, they'll fix it for you. Just a
Nice.
really great company. But like, I'm just talking to this random old guy with eccentric old guy with he's got a little solar power or a solar like from a solar light panel on his hat, and then he's got a little computer like a tiny computer fan on the front of his hat. So when the
Yes.
sun comes out, his computer fan spins up and
Blows.
cools off. Like I said,
Works.
eccentric old guy, really cool. Um, he talked to me for about an hour, and I finally figured out that he had invented the system that Cyclops uses for their fences, and then patented it and started making them. But it's really cool when you get to talk to somebody like most of the people who invent the most interesting things. You never really like they're really neat people, and they have
Oh yeah.
really great stories, and they're just a ton of fun to hear from,
Well, and going back
and
to
they're
problem
unassuming.
solving, they're the most unassuming, just down to earth problem solvers. They can see through the issue go to a solution, and that's really what the crux of troubleshooting is looking past what the thing that's interfering, past it to find what the solution is. One of the other things that I really struggled with at the beginning of being a BMET was being afraid of breaking it. And it was our imaging specialist. He came alongside. He's like, Jared, it's already broken. Don't be afraid of breaking it. Just go for it. And I've really kind of taken that mindset and applied it to life is like, you know what? Even if I do break it worse, I'm not any worse off than I was. I'm still gonna have to replace it either way. So I might as well, if nothing else, learn something in the endeavor, or potentially fix it. In which case, yay, I saved money. It's that fear of like, oh, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't ever know. I literally have no idea what I'm doing in life at all. I'm just rolling with it. I'm figuring out as I go. And so I'm just taking that mindset of like, you know what? Just go for it. Don't be afraid to break it worse. Like I said, the worst that's gonna happen is you're just gonna end up replacing it anyway. Oh well. Um,
Yeah.
which is really weird for me because I'm
So I'm back.
so. Oh, you're good. Okay.
It's sorry, there's a large delay for everybody who's unaware. So I keep cutting Jared off here. Sorry about
You're
that.
good. It's all good.
I was just gonna say, my like I resonate with that a lot too. Like I find literally sitting to my left here is a computer. I don't know if I should admit this, but I pulled out of a dumpster because I don't think you're supposed to. Um, and I've scrapped parts off of it. I ran
Yeah.
off of a dumpster dive computer. My server is from a dumpster. Like, and it was, once you figure out how to tear something apart, not care if you break it, not care if you fail, um, you can do a lot with a little. And I think, as much as we harp on the public school system, this is one of the areas where it really causes the most problems, which is it causes you to not try something that you could fail at, because
Mm,
failure, not getting an A, not getting, not
sure.
getting the right answer, because there's a right answer,
Because there's a right answer. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
is yeah, is we're trained to only go for that. And the reality is the right answer might be, I just broke the thing worse than when I got it, but I learned something about how it works.
Yeah.
I learned that there's another screw in there and I shouldn't have pried so hard, or
Yes. Yes.
whatever the lesson is. It's invaluable to fail at it. And if you can fail on
Absolutely.
things that don't cost much, that's great.
Hmm. Well, yeah, it goes back to pride. Yeah, you are not wrong, Mom.
Yep.
Um, the other thing I definitely recommend, and especially probably from a more of a homesteading kind of a perspective, is learn the skills that allow you to um, fix things, create things, make things, um, woodwork, metalwork. Um, it's not too difficult to get into a welding class or something. There's a lot of ag programs that are out there, because kind of going back to Rocky Pines had posted about having replacement parts. That's awesome if they're available. Like some of the equipment that I work on is antiquated at best. They didn't exist. There weren't replacement parts. So if they're available, fantastic. Yep, stock up, great. If they're not available, learning those skills that allow you to fabricate things. And I understand not everybody is a fabricator. I was blessed to be able to go to college and learn how to become a fabricator and get some experience in that. Um, but it really is a incredibly useful endeavor to just learn those skills.
Yeah, Rocky Pines, I agree too. There's a saying, two is one, one is none
Yes.
in preparedness, where if you only have one thing, if it fails, you have nothing. So if it fails, you have one thing. So two is one, one is none, is just a generally good slogan if you can, and especially with systems that have the propensity or possibility of being antiquated. Um, if you're setting up a solar system, a solar electric system, and a inverter charge controller is really cheap and it's on sale, might be worth buying the extra just to have it around,
Yes.
because those
Yes.
things did. Somebody wrote me an email yesterday. And they're asking about a system, and they're like, "This one thing broke in my solar system," and I can't tell them how to fix it because the batteries they're using, nobody uses them anymore. And it doesn't even make sense to try to fix it. It's like you're going to have to basically scrap the entire thing and start fresh because I can barely even find reference to the model number you sent me on the internet
Yeah.
anymore. And it's 10 years old, right?
Ooh,
So there's definitely things to have, if you can at a decent price, just have an extra one around.
definitely.
Especially something that's likely to let the smoke out.
Releasing the magic smoke. Yeah, no, that is, yeah, absolutely, absolutely good.
And this is a
Yes.
great point too. Yeah. I love this because so asking retired folks questions about their careers and lots to learn. Absolutely. Like even people you might think are like kind of boring and not interesting, if you get them talking about what they did for work,
Oh, yes.
oftentimes they will have really interesting stories and they'll convey things to you that you're too young to know about and your generation totally forgot about.
Sure. Well, and that's really kind of what we're trying to do here is we want to build a community. We want to build a place for people to come together to disseminate that information because like mom, like you've learned things through your life that, and I learned a lot of them from you, but I know that there's still a lot of things that you know that I don't know and that my kids don't know. Same thing with you, Rocky. I mean, I know you guys have experiences that I don't have, and may not ever have. So one of the things that I'm working on in the background is I want to build because Facebook and Ryan and I were kind of talking about this ahead earlier. Facebook is not a great place to build a community. It's very much it's my face, it's me conveying something, it's you talking about it, but not actually having necessarily a real community. So one of the things I'm trying to figure out is a place that we can build that will allow us as a community to come together and talk to each other because it's not just about me and my opinions and my perspective. It's about all of you guys talking to each other and solving problems and troubleshooting and real world experience and all of this. So if you have thoughts, let me know. I've got my thoughts. But yeah, anyway, soapbox done.
Yeah. Well, and when I do consultations for people, one of the things I tell them is I'm here as kind of like a generalist expert. I know a lot of things about a lot of different stuff, but I don't know your property exactly. I don't know the thing that you're most interested exactly. And what I hope for them and what I tell them is I hope that what you become is astronomically more expert in the things that you're doing than I am in understanding those things because I want you as a resource. When
Yes.
you really dial in how to raise sheep on X slope in this zone with these issues, I want to know how you did that,
Yeah,
right? I want you to be expert, and I want a community of experts in the things that they're doing. And
absolutely.
I'm happy to step back and be the noob who's learning something from you.
Right.
And that's what we want in our community. Um, yeah, I am so sick of people standing up being the experts, speaking at events and not listening to anybody else or not realizing that there's subtlety to it worked great in their space, but maybe it doesn't work well in somebody else's space.
Yes.
Um, yeah, yeah, we need that community, and we need micro experts in their thing and in their place.
Yeah. And without the pride, yeah, because that arrogance really it gets in the way of helping to build the community because it just brings it back to it's about me, not about us. It's about what I've done, not about what we can do. um oh, Rocky, yes. Okay, so what I'm working on is, as a retired tech guy, you might know, so Discord is where I'm kind of focusing right now is, and I realize it's a weird one because Discord traditionally has been for gamers, but the platform itself is really designed for a community base. And so it can have chat rooms, just like what we're doing here, where we can have video calls, but then it also has chat rooms like the more traditional chat rooms, like where you can just go in and post things almost like a blog or whatever. Um, where people can post questions, they can post pictures and say, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. And so that's kind of where I'm leaning towards, is Discord. um, I would love it if there was something that was more widely accepted than Discord, because I realize it's kind of a niche platform, but it also is a pretty well suited platform. So I'm not stuck on it. Going back to troubleshooting, I'm not totally putting my blinders on, but I really am. I'm getting really tired of YouTube and Facebook not disseminating our content, not allowing us to share effectively. Um, it's just not getting out there like it should. Like I see other people producing content of we'll say lesser value, and it gets disseminated far and wide. But when we have something to contribute to society as a whole and it getting squashed is really frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. And to that point, my friend Nicole Sauce, who we're going
Yeah,
to have on next week,
next week. Yeah,
next Tuesday. So if you guys want to hear about, her experience raising sheep, what she's learned raising sheep the natural way and the rotational way here in Tennessee, you should tune in. But the reason I'm mentioning her is she's actually doing something that's really similar to something that I'm doing when it comes to community. And I'll probably be partnering with her on that, both in my location and her location. But she's doing something she calls the Holler Hub. And so they've got the Holler, which is their location, or the Holler Homestead,
right.
and they're using this property that they bought just down the road as a center for teaching, for classes, for workshops. But they're also going to have Hip Camp, Airbnb, and then they're going to start building both properties out so they're demonstration sites.
Very
So
cool.
so I just dropped some chickens off there yesterday to be on their demonstration site as opposed to the specific homestead. So now people who are coming for the hip camp can actually not only have less ticks getting on
Yeah,
them,
right.
they'll have chickens that they can watch and see, and go up to and try to grab if they want to, I guess. Um, but my point being, there's this opportunity for community where it's in person. And I think there's so much value to that. You know, we can all talk online all day, but nobody's actually going to show their true self until they, see me say something really stupid and they're like, I could say something really stupid too.
I can do
And
that. Yeah.
yeah, I can do that as well. So, yeah, absolutely. Rocky Pines there in Arizona. That'd be awesome if you could do it too. But I think we need all these little, loosely federated groups of people who get together and meet. And I know people who are doing this. And it's useful to have some type of platform. We've used Telegram and Signal, which are, yeah, okay. But
Yeah.
community, like real community in person, seeing somebody's expressions, shaking their hand,
Right.
getting together when you're not supposed to get together, all that stuff, and seeing other people breaking rules they're not supposed to break gives you courage. It gives you, it helps you feel like you're not alone. And it's really important. And
Yes.
you can watch all the videos you want on how to start a friction fire, but having
Until you
somebody
actually
there
do it.
with you, yeah, having somebody there who knows how to do it, showing you how to do it, and then letting you do it and giving you some instructions and then letting you do it by yourself is so much different than watching a YouTube video from maybe somebody who, off camera was using a DeWalt drill to actually
Yes.
start the fire, right?
Right. Yep.
So, or even if they
And
did.
yeah, right. And really coming back to our topic, what we're doing right here, right now, this is troubleshooting. We see a
Mhm.
problem in society, and what we're trying to do is to not keep our blinders on, to be open to options and possibilities, to come up with a solution that might help. And it may only help a specific subset of society, and that's fine. But that's really what we're doing is we're troubleshooting people. We're troubleshooting, you know, America.
Mhm. Yeah, well, we talked about how, I don't know if it's maybe a couple of weeks ago, permaculture principles and
Yeah,
how those principles can be applied to business. They can be applied to parenting. They can be applied to whatever you're doing. If you understand the principle, you can apply it to something else. And that becomes, and so the same with troubleshooting, whatever the issue, you can start troubleshooting. And sometimes it's social, sometimes it's, community based, sometimes it's, and again, with children, maybe you're parenting and you're like, I keep doing this thing and it's not working. I don't want to be the definition of insanity.
I was just gonna say
How
it's
can
like
we?
how
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I'm going to sit down with my wife and we're going to talk about, okay, that's not working. That strategy worked when they were 4, but when they're 8, it's not
Or it
working
worked
anymore.
on that kid, but it doesn't work on this kid.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly.
I agree, mom. I mean, commenter, anonymous commenter. I agree
Yeah,
completely.
yeah, anonymous Facebook commenter. Thank you. That's very, very nice. That's great. Yeah, I mean, we can cross apply these skills, and I think that's something that is, again, going back to like public schooling and the way that we were trained to be good employees and to accomplish tasks
And to
with
not think.
low error rates does not prepare us uh to to see the connections between things and actually build something of value.
Unfortunately, I agree.
And I'm not a person who necessarily like I'm not extroverted at all. Doing
Me
this
neither.
stuff is weird and difficult for me, but I've realized it's so important for me to be a connecting piece where I can in my community
Right.
because I have a certain set of skills, and my certain set of skills is helping people figure out complex issues on their homestead and how not to run off a cliff basically.
Yep.
Um, but because of that, I run into a ton of people. And so I have to stretch myself to figure out how to communicate with people, how to connect people, even though that's not a skill set that I generally have.
Yep. I very, very, very much resonate with that. This is being in front of the camera is really hard and very difficult for me. I'm so much happier being behind it. Doing video editing and all the tech stuff. Yeah, I'm there all day long. Being up in front, ugh,
Yep. Yeah, it's hard. And when you try to get better by like watching your other stuff, you're like, is this me being like, I don't know what the right word is, but like, why am I watching my own content? And it just,
right?
you sound weird and you're like, I don't like
Oh,
this.
I hate my
But
voice. Oh, I hate it.
yeah. And it's not bad, but you just when you hear it, you're like, that's not my voice. So,
Right.
anyways, yes, doing the work, and it's a little disconnected from troubleshooting, but doing the work, even the uncomfortable work,
Right.
is really important to be honest with yourself to get to the bottom of something. And sometimes
Oh, yeah.
that's that awkward social thing where you have to go say hi to somebody you don't know and say, "Hey, I know this person, and I think
Yeah.
they might know the thing that you need to know,
Right.
or they
Yes.
might be a great connection in your region."
Oh, I can't tell you how often somebody will come in and start asking me questions about something about farming or whatever. I'm like, I have a friend that you need to talk to. Let me give you his card. His name
Right?
is Ryan.
Yeah. Your mom. I mean, random Facebook commenter says,
Right.
"I struggle for years learning to accept good enough," and yeah, there's a balance, right? You're putting everything together with duct tape, and only you know how it works, and um, and it's always falling apart to like, I don't ever get anything done because it has to be done perfect.
Right.
And that good enough is really important.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Functional is functional. We can come back and we can make it better at some point, sure. But for right now, functional is good. One thing I wanted to jump back to because I just thought of it was this comment: invest in replacement parts. From a diagnostic standpoint, that is so useful to be able to swap a part out and go, oh yeah, that actually was the problem. So having replacement parts available, so that you can, from a diagnostic standpoint, figure out exactly what's wrong, so useful.
Hmm. Yeah, and know your systems and what kind of parts they take too, because
Yeah.
let's say you have a dishwasher and it's a Maytag, and maybe Whirlpool basically uses 90% of the same parts,
Yes.
right? And you have the opportunity to get a Maytag dishwasher for free, and maybe you're not going to keep the thing around, but maybe pull off the 90% of the parts that are the same,
Yeah.
keep them sitting around, so you
Because they don't take up much
have
space
something
once
to
you
work with.
once you strip it down, it's pretty small.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I
Once
mean,
you
like,
get rid of that big
growing
outer
up,
shell.
yeah, exactly. Growing up, so my dad loved motorcycles, and so we had
Mhm,
all of these different, Honda motorcycles. And so anytime we needed a part, we could go like, oh, okay, I don't know if this part we don't have the part for the 160, but we have that similar part for the 175. I wonder if it would fit. Oh, look, it does fit. Or, oh, maybe that's, we cross reference and, oh, that's actually the same as a Yamaha, RD, or this is the same as a Suzuki that. And so we ended up building this and it ultimately found a cross reference for bearing races, for ring sizes, for all of this information. Because, yeah,
wow.
like you said, there's a lot of manufacturers that you source their parts from the same manufacturer. And so you can just pull that
Mhm,
starter off of this, or you could pull that carburetor off of that, and it'll made up. And so, yeah, knowing your equipment, knowing what you have, being intentional was the other one that I has benefited me, is being intentional about like, oh, I'm going to get this because I know that that part off of this will also fit my that. Um, Whether
mhm.
it's, your tractor and your truck, or if it's your whatever. Yeah, so being intentional about manufacturers, it can be very, very beneficial.
It's very similar to standardizing.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be like if you've got a, 5 Milwaukee tools, and then you start going out and buying DeWalt and Ryobi, or, it's like, why would you do that? You've got the battery set for the other, right? And you have it
Right.
standardized. Um, Now that's less of an issue because now you could just go get adapters, which aren't
Sure.
perfect, but,
Which is, yeah, which
yeah,
is cool that that
anyways.
is a thing.
Yeah, actually, that's another tangent on troubleshooting.
Hmm.
I needed a part that my manufacturer for my power tools, or a tool that they didn't carry,
Yes.
and I found that, in my case, it was I needed a backpack sprayer, and I found that Ryobi had backpack sprayers, and they're really affordable but high quality because they had manufactured too many. Um,
Nice.
and so I bought a $20 adapter for my battery type, and now I have a great backpack sprayer. And now I can actually go get other Ryobi tools if I need some, because they carry a lot of these weird specialized pumps and
Oh,
all
yeah,
kinds
yeah.
of stuff
Sure.
that other people or other brands don't make. And so, thinking of these kind of workarounds, um, they can be really useful. But I'll also realize that, an adapter is not a perfect solution either.
Right.
So, but it's just another part of troubleshooting is, can I do it another way? And now I've got a way. Does that other way that I want to do it make sense financially, long term,
Right.
all that.
Well, and kind of, kind of going to the creative solution, getting a 3D printer. They've gotten so cheap, and you can manufacture a lot. I mean, you can get desktop water jets now that are phenomenal. And so, yeah, there's a lot of flexibility in the ability to manufacture your own adapters, your own, pieces that could bring together two broken or less than useful pieces and turn it into something functional and useful. And yeah, it might not be perfect, but it'll work.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Rocky
no
Pines.
kidding. Right?
Yeah. Also, the trailers have value. So, my like daily trailer that I don't use daily, but close to daily for basically anything I do is an old boat trailer that I got for free. So, it's really sturdy and basically, and what I did is I took some angle iron that I literally found in the woods on my property, put it together, bolted it onto the boat trailer, and made a squared off trailer frame. And then I used decking boards that I got from taking down a deck and built out a trailer. And I've been using it for years, and it's been honestly the best trailer I've ever had. I got another free boat trailer, and I was able to put a chicken brooder that I specifically designed to go on a trailer. I was able to just slide it up on there, bolt it on from the bottom in a couple of places, and now I have a mobile chicken brooder for free. So yeah, and what are they? RV trailers. They're not quite the same, but you can definitely make uses like that out of them.
Oh, yeah.
And all the parts you're mentioning. So
Yeah, I'll say, the fridge, the stove, the tanks. Yeah, those are all very functional and useful devices, especially if you're in, like, I don't know, an emergency where you may not have traditional electrical, versions of those. Having something that
Mhm.
ran on a propane is really useful.
Yeah, I've actually got a right now. I'm sitting in a not really roadworthy camper, and that's what my office is, because I needed a place outside of the house.
Right?
And the reality is, it's set up with propane. I'm about to set it up with solar and some batteries, so the whole 12-volt system will work off of that. So I've got heaters, I've got a refrigerator, I've got a stove, I've got a sink. Um, if we totally lose electricity or have
Mm,
some major issue with a freeze, we can
yeah,
all
sure.
shove into the trailer. I mean, I don't want to do this, but if
No.
we had to, we could shove into here or find one in the room in the house and put a propane heater in there or whatever. But it's a possibility. So yeah, those things are great. I also built a solar water heater and used the water heater from a camper. Actually, this camper that I ripped
Oh,
out as my
nice.
as an insulated pressure tank.
Sure.
So yeah, and it was perfect because I was able to circulate the solar hot water that I was creating. And so we had a sink at a festival that was totally off grid but had hot water.
Well, and that's really kind of one of the wonderful outcomes of this troubleshooting mindset is learning how to reappropriate things like, oh, I know how that functions. I know how that functions. I can take this and cross it over to that, and I can make something else. That really
Mhm.
comes from this constant mindset of troubleshooting, of understanding how things function.
Yeah. No, I've got a shed that's way too full of things that needs to be cleaned out.
Have you seen my
But
garage?
I know but I know that if something comes up, even if I don't have a system set up,
I
I
can make
have
one.
enough various parts, yeah, and I have the knowledge that I can put it together and make it work for the time being if I need to.
Yeah. Yep.
I'd rather have it set up and ready and all that, but,
Oh, sure.
got it.
Having the mindset, having the going back to the lack of fear. I'm not afraid to try to. It might not work the first time. I might have to go through a couple iterations before I can get something functional. But I'm not going to stop. I'm gonna figure it out. It will bend to my will. Um, my family knows it as I will not let any device beat me. I won't. It will. It
That's
became so
great.
well known in the hospital that when I walked into rooms, equipment just started working. Like, it's afraid of me.
Is afraid of you. Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, it's similar where you know somebody asks you and you like, I'm like, my mom kept having this issue with her, you know, she's getting some warning message and I could not get it to repeat.
Oh,
And I finally figured out that she was clicking the restore button on her browser and
sure,
it was going back to a fake Facebook page. That's
sure.
about all I could come up with. But yeah, sometimes it's hard to get a problem to repeat and
Oh, yeah.
to track it down.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think we
Often
went
when
through.
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I don't think we went through all the, you know, kind of effective tools that you put
Oh,
into a
that's
list here. I thought that'd be really good to finish.
yeah, yeah, sure. So yeah, a multimeter, and Rocky, you had mentioned that a good multimeter is hands down, even if you're just a homeowner, just to double check that the receptacle is in fact actually off. Don't lick it. Don't 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 use your fingers to figure out whether it's hot. Um, I will tell you, I didn't follow my own advice, and 220 makes a really big flash when it grounds out. It's a big
Sure
one.
does.
It's real scary when you're dragging what ended up being a hot 220 line underneath the house, and then it randomly connects. It lights up under the house really, really well for a very short amount of time.
Yeah, that
So yeah,
arc flash.
oh yeah. So yeah, good multimeter. Depending on what you're working on, there's different test equipment. Your vehicle, having a decent little, yeah, something like that. No, great
There's a,
holy guys.
yep,
Yeah,
not
the amp
super
hole.
expensive, not
No,
cheap. I mean, we're
no,
looking at
130 bucks.
130 bucks.
Hmm. But
Yep.
well worth it. Oh, and Fluke, I recommend Fluke because um, they're usually calibratable. So, and that was part of my job, was making sure that everything was annually tested and validated, that it was accurate, because when you have medical devices, they need to work exactly the way that they're designed to work. Anyway, going back to vehicles. So yeah, you can get the little dongle that will plug into your car's port, and you can just Bluetooth to your phone, to a tablet, whatever, and it will tell you all sorts of wonderful information about your vehicle and what errors it has, and it allows you to reset them. Or you just get an old vehicle that doesn't require such things, and then don't have to worry about it. Uh,
Right. Yeah, here's a Klein. I've been
yeah.
happy with Klein. They're not
Oh,
quite on
mine's
the
great.
level of Fluke as far as equipment, but
Yeah, but they're
um,
solid. Klein's a solid
yep,
manufacturer.
yep. And, you know, 90 bucks, it's a little less.
Mhm.
So,
Um,
anyways, yeah,
some of the other
these
tools,
tools.
take pictures. Whenever somebody would call in with an issue on a device, I would just ask them, like, "Hey, do me a favor, just take a picture or a video so that I can see what you're seeing." Because a lot of the times, kind of going back to your experience with your mom, it was the users, not necessarily a user error, but it was how they were using their device. It was just their procedure. Um, and it could be that it wasn't necessarily wrong, but it may be an opportunity to teach. Say, hey, okay, yes, that
Mhm.
does work, but, or maybe next time do it this way, or if you're going to do it that way, then um because yeah, the user error. So yeah, documentation, photographs, videos are incredibly useful, and the writing things down, just having a place to just jot down notes when you're in the field is so helpful. If for nothing else, it just allows you to brain dump it and then think about other things, because at least for me, I would get tunnel vision pretty bad if I was trying to retain all of the information in my head, whereas if I could
Yep.
write it down, I was able to think more freely.
Well, and to be able to, this has been huge for me because so I'll step back. I do quite a bit of, I'll call it very unique plumbing jobs for homesteads. You know,
Sure.
like setting up water towers that, you know, they they're incredible, but they're complex. And where you put the valves and things like that to switch from active to passive, that's actually pretty tough to keep straight in your brain. So if you can draw a
Yeah.
diagram
Oh yeah.
That's like a diagram. Then you can like, your brain can let it go. You can leave it on the diagram and you can think more about what you're actually needing to do at the moment instead of trying to remember the thing.
Sure. Definitely. Definitely. Trying to think.
Yeah.
Is
So a
there any?
notepad to draw on is huge.
Um,
Pictures are huge. Like if you're taking apart something complex,
oh, take lots of
taking a
pictures
picture as you remove the things,
every
then
step
when
of
you're
the
putting it
way.
back together and you're like, yeah,
It's
because you're
just the
like,
pictures
this
in
isn't
reverse order.
fitting.
It's great.
And mhm, exactly. And our phones can store thousands of pictures. Who cares? You're
Yeah.
wasting no space. Um, Anytime I put anything in the ground, I take a picture of it, whether with my phone and doing a video or with my drone. I take a picture so that I know where that thing went. So if I've got a
Sure.
water line in the ground and I want to put a power line in the ground or vice
Oh yeah.
versa, I can avoid them.
Absolutely.
And I'll take those pictures from a location with a with something as my anchor point. So let's say it's a fence post and I know my water line went now because of the angle that I took the picture. I know my line went 1 foot in from that fence post. So if I want to run an electric line, I got to go 2 feet in from that fence post
Nice. Okay.
to
Your
avoid
point of
hitting it.
reference. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And that also makes troubleshooting later so much easier. So if you do have a leak in your water line and you've got drone pictures of it, now you can go back, reference those drone pictures and go, oh, that's right. Because you might remember it being somewhere different than it was. It's a
Oh
foot
yeah. Sure.
off or you're 2 feet off. And now you're digging for an hour more because you remembered it slightly wrong.
Right. Right.
So yeah. Yep. Reference pictures are huge.
Oh yeah, I remember when I was building out the shop, I took pictures of the walls before we put up sheetrock. So I know where all of the all of the power lines are for all of the receptacles. I know where all the lines come in for the switches are. I was so glad that I did that because when I went to hang all of the shelves, it's like, oh, where are I because I don't want to hit anything. That was so
Mhm.
helpful.
I bet. Yeah. You've got written on our notes here some real world examples. We've gone through quite a few. Do you have any others that you had in mind that you wanted to share with people?
Um, Not specifically because yeah, we pretty much covered all of the ones that I thought were, applicable, or useful.
Yeah.
We talked about, tech and automotive and homesteading and survival. It's just kind of that the mindset of let me jump back up. Patience over panic. That really kind of is the for me at least is the ability to just stop and evaluate. And you started off that way is stop, evaluate what's going on and not get panicked about it. Like, okay, we can work our way through this. We can figure this out. And then going back to those methods of like making your hypothesis and evaluating it, testing it, seeing if it is true or not. But that is a really important. And I'm thinking about like survival situations because that is troubleshooting. You're stuck
Mhm.
somewhere. Okay, that's definitely the trouble. Let's figure out a way out of that said trouble. So whether it's relocating by running, or is it fixing your vehicle, or is it there's a tree over the road, whatever it is troubleshooting. And so having that mindset of it's worth the effort. So I'm not gonna just pack it in and give up. I'm going to try. I'm going to do this one way or another. It's gonna happen. I'm going to get out. Is incredibly important. So yeah, no,
Yeah. That
and keeping
mindset.
that patience and that calmness during that time.
Yeah. Not panicking or rushing.
Yep.
It wasn't
Yes.
really an emergency situation, but I was home, I think, doing an interview, sitting right here. And I got out of my office. It was probably 8, 9 o'clock at night. And I look down the road and there's a line of cars. So we're on a one-way road. So it's dead end.
Yeah.
And in front of that line of cars trying to get into our our neighborhood is a tree that had fallen across the road. And it
Ah,
was
yeah.
at a gully, so nobody could drive around it. You couldn't there's no way around. And I've got chainsaws in my shop, several varieties, different chainsaws for different occasions. Uh,
Right.
and they all work, so there's no issue there. And I could have just grabbed one, run straight up, and like, oh, these people really need to get home.
Mm.
And we're on one lane dead end road, and they're stuck a mile away from their house. But I took a second to think about it and realized I also have a battery powered work light. I also need some PPE. I'm going to
Yeah.
take a couple minutes. They'll be fine. They're in their cars, even if it's raining. And I'll
Sure.
cut the tree down, or I'll cut this apart carefully with good lighting so I know, where my pressure points are, so I don't have the thing, either my chainsaw get stuck or have something
Get
fling
pinched.
at
Yeah.
me.
Right.
Yeah. So just taking the time, and like I said, I know it's not an emergency situation or a survival, but it's something where if you take the time to think through it first, just like in troubleshooting, um, you're gonna have a much better result.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Well, okay. So let's say it is a survival situation. Having wool socks.
Mhm,
If you just every day wore darn tough socks, and you got into a survival situation where you had to ford a creek, now your feet aren't cold. Let's imagine we're late fall. It gets cold at night. You don't want to
mhm.
freeze, right? So that having the equipment, thinking about it ahead of time, and having the right stuff with you is troubleshooting. You're pre-planning this so that in the event of, you're okay. So yeah, no, that's definitely useful.
I think we kind of touched on this one, but
Mm.
you had in the notes teaching others to troubleshoot. We kind of talked about community
Yeah.
and a little bit about how it matters to actually be in person, and connect with each other. What do you think about teaching others to troubleshoot, and how maybe a listener or a viewer could do that more effectively?
Ooh. Okay, so this is just, gonna be me personally. I would do the best and have done the best teaching people to troubleshoot by actually troubleshooting. When someone had an issue, buddy of mine, his engine exploded. Okay, cool. Let's go replace your engine. And so he and I worked through it together. And he is a fantastic troubleshooter now. I won't say I did it. No, but we worked through it together, and we had that same, and I was able to help him work through mentally the process of diagnosing the issue and resolving it, and all the steps in between. Um, and that's really, in my opinion, uh, an integral part of community. Is it's not all about the happy go lucky days. It's living life together through the hard days. It's being there with each other in the trauma, in the difficulties, in the struggles, because that's the opportunity that we have to lean on one another. And it's hard because, like, I don't ever want to be the one who needs the help. I want to be the one who gives the help. But that obviously can't be everybody. Somebody has to need the help. And so that goes back to the whole pride thing. We need to be in community, and we need to lay our pride aside and allow each other to come alongside to help.
Yeah, I think guys get together, or even you just get together in a group, and somebody does something kind of dumb, and it's fun to razz them or harass them about it.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's good to be careful about that. Like there's some almost morale boost to getting to tease each other a little bit and not be too serious. But we
Hmm.
also have we've got the issue of, like we talked about, people being afraid to fail,
Yes.
and making sure that people feel comfortable in making a mistake rather than getting teased a little too much about it will
Right.
make them want to come back. And I've had to work on this personally, because it's easier to be sarcastic and funny than it is to be like encouraging and to kind of step out. And to me, it's a little uncomfortable to go, hey, you know what, you did a really good job there. And here's something I really appreciated about, you took more time than I would, and that's a good thing because
Yeah,
sometimes I
right.
rush at it or whatever. Find a way to compliment the person, um, rather than the what we might typically do of kind of teasing or making a little bit of fun of something dumb that they did because they're going to do dumb things, and we did dumb things when we were learning, and I still do dumb
Exactly.
things sometimes.
Exactly.
I've had a few times where I've had to do warranty work because I did dumb things.
Yes.
So,
Oh, I was working on a motorcycle, or it was a little scooter, and I put in what I thought was the right spark plug. It was not, and it was too long, and it
ooh,
put a hole straight through that piston. I turned over that motorcycle the very first time and pop right through the top of that piston. I was like, "That's weird. There's no compression. Why is there no compression?" Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. No, I know.
yeah. I mean, make it real for people. I have two lawnmowers, and last week or a couple weeks ago, I ran them both out of gas, and I was in a rush, and I had a red gas can, and there was some gas in it, or so I thought, and so I filled both mowers, started one of them up, started driving it back, just to put it away, basically, and it
Yeah.
started smoking really bad and not wanting to run well. Like, what is going on? In a rush in the winter when we had a storm coming in, I had set up a diesel heater in my house,
Oh,
and I didn't
no.
have any yellow tanks. So I used a red tank,
Sure.
put
Yeah.
diesel in.
Yep.
I didn't have a Sharpie. I was in a rush. And so I put
Yep.
diesel in both of my mowers. Now, fortunately, it didn't harm them. I just drained it.
Yeah.
They're simple systems, not a big deal. But what a stupid mistake for somebody as experienced as I am to put
Yep.
diesel in two different mowers. So anyways, we all do dumb
We
things.
all do dumb things. That's
It's good to be
exactly it.
humble. It's
Yeah.
good to recognize it.
Absolutely.
So, do you have any closing thoughts on this, Jared? We've gone quite a while. Hopefully, people aren't sick of this by now. Um, do you have anything that you want to kind of leave people with as far as troubleshooting?
Don't be afraid to fail. Honestly, I mean, really, that's it. That's the biggest, for me. That was the biggest thing for me was I won't say losing, um, but losing my fear. But it was kind of losing my fear. It was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll try it. We'll figure it out. Um, what's the worst that could happen, right?
Yep. Sometimes there's the you can't see the forest through the trees syndrome. And something that I've encouraged people to do before is, let's say they've got an issue in their pasture, and maybe as they're driving past somebody else's pasture, just critically think what would they do if they owned that person's pasture. Do that a few different times, and even if the problem isn't the same, it
Right.
might break that it's too close to me to see or to figure out thing.
Yeah.
So when it's somebody else's problem, we're a lot more capable of being critical of it.
Yes.
Um, and so just as a mental exercise, as you start to break that, don't be afraid, which I think we could probably leave the podcast on, is don't be afraid to break things. Don't be afraid to fail. Is, you know, break some of those mental hurdles by thinking through somebody else's problem. Not don't go up to them and tell them, here's what you need to do in your pasture,
No.
or here's how you need to fix your vehicle, or you should do it this way. Just use that as an opportunity to train your brain how to think through a problem that's not so close that you can't solve it.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah,
Um,
it's one of the things I've learned to do is to stop thinking of my things as my things
mhm,
and creating that separation even on my own farm is like,
yeah,
okay, like you said, it's like if this was somebody else's, how would I help them out solving this problem?
yep, exactly. So, with everybody who may or may not watch this in the future,
Yeah, yeah.
consider, as we talked quite a bit about communities, for now we're doing some online building, we're doing some online trying to give people information and um, build this thing, and hopefully this can really build into a lot more in-person meetups. I said
Yeah,
I've got a place out in Hartsville that I'm working on, and we're going to be doing some of our first workshops and classes this fall. So go if you look up, it's lovefarmtn.com, or you can go to my website. It's not up yet there, but we're going to be posting dates for those classes, so you can do meetups. Nicole Sauce, like I said, tune in next Tuesday at 6 to see her. But she's doing all kinds of amazing stuff out at her place. She's already got stuff up and going, and they're just building it out more.
that's
Um,
awesome.
but there's going to be these places where you can start to connect with other like-minded people, people who want to be resilient, people who just want to be left alone, um, you know, who want everybody else to mind their own business and they want to do the same,
Right?
um, who want to get together and encourage each other and learn from each other. And we're going to be setting that stuff up. But the way you can help us with that for now is like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all the, smash that like button.
That's right.
And it can help us get a little bit more reach and hopefully get a bigger community going. And this online thing is just a temporal thing. It's just something to get the word out
Yeah.
and get things
It's a way we
moving.
can increase our surface area. And
Mhm.
you guys, the difference, sharing our posts, and I'm not saying this is like, you need to share my post. Like the difference was, okay, so a couple weeks ago we had a guest on, Will, and he shared my page, which was great. In like 24 hours, I think I gained 125 new followers. So that's the kind of impact that that we can have in each other's um, lives online, and allows us to reach further and talk to more people, and find more people who have like minds, and build these communities bigger. So like for Rocky, yeah, you're in Arizona, so obviously you're not going to come out to Tennessee probably to come out and hang out with us, but you can build your own community, and we can be a part of that, and we can help that. And how awesome is that? So yeah, do like, share, subscribe, whatever, on whatever platform you're on. Let's get this information out there. Let's build up this community.
Yeah. And if you're out there watching this, you can get hold of us on our websites and things. We'll go over that in just a minute, but feel free to reach out to us because both of us have a decent number of contacts and other people. And if you've got something you need help with, if you've got something that is specific, there's a good chance that one of us knows somebody in the area who could help you out. And we're all about building that community. It really is about helping each other out and making things more resilient, making our community more resilient. So feel free to find us. With that, Jared, do you want to tell people where they can find you?
Sure. So I own Resilient Living. We are a small little shop here in Middle Tennessee, right on Highway 111 between Sparta and Spencer. You can find us online at www.resilientliving.com, or on YouTube, or Resilient Living. That's Livin. Facebook is also Resilient Living. Instagram is also Resilient Living. TikTok is resilient_living. Couldn't get that one. Oh well. So you can follow us there. Our store, we sell books, we sell disaster preparedness equipment, we sell knives, camping gear, just outdoor supplies. We're working on our firearms license. That's taking entirely more time than I ever thought would. And it's the insurance. It's the insurance that's killing me. So anyway, that's where we're at. So you can find us there.
Cool. And if you're anywhere near Spencer, Sparta, Upper Cumberland, you should definitely check out his store. Jared's a wealth of knowledge, and you should stop in. I am Ryan Steva from thehomesteadconsultant.com. You can pretty much find all of my stuff, links. Even I've created some what do they call it? Blanking on the name, but links to like Amazon stuff that I use,
Oh,
things like
affiliate
that.
links.
Yeah, affiliate links. Thank you.
Nice.
So people can get just some general recommendations. I'm on TikTok, I think Instagram, whatever, all those things that don't really matter much. But YouTube is where I do most of my actually meaningful content, and I put it out. It's really just meant as DIY tutorials for people to get inspiration and get ideas to improve their homesteads and make things easier on themselves. And if you want consultations, I do those, especially here in Tennessee, but I travel all over for that as well. So just reach out and I'd be happy to talk with you. All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us, and definitely check us out next week with our guest. And yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see you.
Have a good
We'll see
night.
you next week then. Bye.
See you all later.